keep going, because people will say that ये क्या कर रही है, ये इतना कुछ काम धंधा नहीं है क्या,
curate their LinkedIn profile in order to get, seen by more people. So
had one door not shut for you, you wouldn't have explored something else. Dettol's company is Reckitt Benckiser. I thought Dettol in itself is a company. Conversations with the right people help a lot.
hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. We have Radhika with us today, and in this particular video, we are going to talk a lot about her journey, content creation, and how can one build their brand. So I'm really excited to talk to you, Radhika. But before that, I'm sure that the people who are watching this will already know you because the amazing work that you're doing on LinkedIn and other social media platforms as well. But can you give us a brief introduction about yourself?
Yeah, sure. For those of you who are listening to me, I am Radhika and I write on LinkedIn primarily. That's how my career started, because when I started out on LinkedIn, I was in my college, and there's no such introduction that you can give to yourself while you're in college, apart from the co curricular activities that you're engaged in. But I was engaged in so many that it became difficult for me to define a specific niche for myself. But thanks to LinkedIn, I came to be known as a writer and a journalist. Journalist more so because I used to work with my friends on a startup that we had called The Representative, where we would interview every entrepreneur once a week, and we would write news in a very crisp and simple manner. So I think that's where my journey started from, and from there on it's been nothing but a learning ride for me, in terms of meeting people, networking with them, attending events and conferences. I remember I got a chance to meet people like Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, and this Apollo Global founders at Times of India event, when I was just 18, and that happened only because I had a strong peer group within my community that I was a part of in college. So that also gave me a sense that in college you should just explore everything that comes your way, because you don't know what will it turn out into going forward. So that's what I've been doing throughout college. I just graduated in 2020, and right after that I got into a law firm. Never thought that I would do finance, and that too in a law firm. But it so happened that since I used to write, I got a message from the partner that he's opening up his own firm and he would want me to drive their content and media initiatives. So that's how I ended up here, but did hiring for the firm, being a non-lawyer. And it was a learning ride in itself, because I didn't know anything about law, nothing, no background, so it was learning right from the scratch, and then going on to hire the best of the talent in the firm. So did that for about 1.5 year, and the firm has been very supportive of me following what I want to do, where my focus lies, and how I can integrate that with my skill sets. So after that, I started out Radically Yours, and there we connected investors and startups on a global level. And we've been doing that for about 15 startups now, including that of in India and US. And we have a couple from the African and Southeast Asian region, also from Singapore and China. But the idea now is that we build a women focused community. So I'm working towards that. So, yeah, that's the brief introduction about it.
Yes, I think that is really great. And one thing that I could figure out is learning in public, as you mentioned, that because you used to write content, so the people reached out to you. So I think that is the power of learning in public and, sharing whatever you learn, right? No matter
Yeah.
how small or how big it is. Correct. Also, I would like to know that where does the motivation of writing on LinkedIn comes from, right? Because you post consistently on LinkedIn, like, so where is the motivation coming from?
Yeah, it's more to do with my inner self drive rather than some external force, because I'm not a person who will get motivated all of a sudden looking at a video or reading a post or a book or talking to a person. Like, people get instantly charged up, right? After watching a movie, they're like, oh, even I want to be like that and live a life like that. But I take my own time, contemplate on different things that will lead me to a certain place, and that's what I did. Like, initially I joined LinkedIn just because my entrepreneurship cell, which I was a part of, wanted me to have a profile there, since I was in the marketing team. And through the LinkedIn profile, it's easier to reach to the sponsors for the event, right? So that was the reason why I created the profile. Never did I think that I would write on a platform like LinkedIn. Writing was also not in my niche at all. I was not a writer, neither was I fond of writing. It was not in my purview. But my friend used to tell me that, and he was a prolific writer on LinkedIn. His name is Ronnie Saha. He used to tell me that, why aren't you exploring the platform? What's the point in just being there? If you're approaching people, they will only respond to you if you have a good profile, and you can make a good profile with your writings. So I'm like, what will I write? I don't even read a lot. Newspapers, so dur ki baat hai. I don't know what will I start with. It was only philosophy that I knew. And right, that people who don't know anything, they are like, हाँ पर still we can give you free का ज्ञान, and that ज्ञान is purely basis philosophy, right? So I was that kind of a person back in college, जिसको कुछ आता नहीं था, but then wanted to only think about my own thoughts. And then I thought कि ठीक है, इतना लोग बोल रहे हैं तो I'll give it a try. And this happened, by the way, 6 months after they have been convincing me. So I took my own time. Like I told you before, I don't get convinced very easily of something if I don't believe in it. So I understood why is it important for me, and that understanding point came for me when I was traveling back home from a boot camp which was conducted in a reputed college in Bombay. And there I saw youngsters present their ideas in such a brilliant way, and they were about to build big businesses out of it, and they were much younger than me as well. So I thought that, okay, I'm in my third year now, last year of my college. Let's actually do something which can change the course of my life. Otherwise it will be as it is. You'll just get placed in whatever company comes to your college placement, and life will go on, nothing new will happen. So I thought, okay, let's give it a try, let's see how it happens. I started writing on LinkedIn. I remember my first post was on some philosophical topic which was very vague, like nobody can even think of writing it on Instagram, it was that bad. So, and that like got just 3 likes. But of course, as human behavior would be, I felt discouraged. Ki, what is this? Why is it getting only 3 likes? But then I'm also a person who would think on both the sides, rather than going only a positive or negative side of the things. I like to have a balanced thought process. So I thought, okay, fine, at least 3 people have given attention to some bullshit I've written. you know and I just I till date, when I just get, suppose, 50 likes on my post after having about 200K followers, it really doesn't bother me, because I feel that if I've written something, it is because of the fact that I wanted to write it, not because of the fact that the public should view it and they should get happy about it. Of course, it's a social media platform, you need to keep in mind their interest also. But because I do it for my inner satisfaction, it doesn't bother me as such. And people think that I might have a research team right now who would help me with posts and all, but that's not true. I do it myself. Like, I have to put in 2 3 hours, sometimes 4, when the post is related to a specific topic, to
Right.
come up with something. And it's something that I've built up from scratch, just like my baby, and I would like to keep it to myself. Not hire a team to put their brains on to my post. It's something very proprietary and close to me. So yeah, that's how it started. And I mean, I started writing on business topics because of the representative, like I told you. The moment I got associated with them, the peer network was so good, supportive, and smart that even you feel like becoming like them. So I started reading newspapers just because people there were reading, and I thought it's something actually good. It really helps you sharpen your thought process, your clarity of thought, and the way you speak. So that's the reason why I started reading. And I remember that in my internship in 2019, after the working hours, I used to still stay there in the office and read the daily news, because I was making, as an intern, I was making list of the heads of different companies. So in that company, some of the names were just unheard of. And when I would Google them, I would explore. For example, I didn't know that Dettol's company is Reckitt Benckiser. I thought Dettol in itself is a company. So that exploration in itself gave me so much
Wow, even
excitement.
I did not know that.
That gave me so much excitement that I thought that okay, let me research more on this as to how did this company actually begun, Dettol आया
Yeah.
कैसे market में, you know. So because of that inner curiosity, I just used to research, and then I thought that okay, I've read about it, let's share the knowledge. I like sharing what I've read, if people want to know, of course,
Right.
not not like propagating it. But
Yeah.
since I was anyways writing on LinkedIn, I thought might as well make use of it. And I think it's a natural gift to me to write, break down into simpler edits, you know. If you tell me to write something from scratch, I would be like, I'm not sure I can do it because I'm not a good writer. But if you tell me to concise a big piece into shorter one with main points highlighted, that I can do. So I call myself a good editor than a writer. You know, many people think that I'm a good writer, and they used to give me projects also. But I knew that I wouldn't be able to give justice to them. I know who I was. I was true to my art, my craft, and that's why I was very upfront in telling them also. It was good money, I could have opened a agency of my own, done so many things, but I knew where my forte was, so I never ran behind money or good clients or anything materialistic, you know. It's all immaterialistic and something that I dearly hold to myself. So yeah, that's how I'm attached to LinkedIn and how it all started.
I think curiosity, as we say, that is the mother of all inventions. I think that is the driving force that is, helping you with consistency on your
Yeah.
LinkedIn. Yes, and guys, if you have yet not seen her LinkedIn, you're missing out a lot. So just go to her LinkedIn. I'll just put everything in the description box and see, like, it has a lot of informative content. So also I would like to tell, like, even I used to think that, log kya sochenge kind of thing initially. Like, I still do sometime, because even I am someone who is new to this content creation and everything. So after seeing your posts and everybody posting so much content on LinkedIn, even I started, posting stuff, whatever, or any new stuff, whatever I learned. So recently I posted about IKEA and how they, create a maze like structure so that, people buy more stuff and everything. So I was very reluctant to post about it, but yet I was like, okay, let me just post it. So yeah. Also, how do you overcome the fear of this society? Like, some people, there are very good content creators, but they think that what will people think, what will my friends say, or they will say that, this is stupid, or we already know this. So how do you overcome that, or how did you overcome when you were starting?
Yeah, so I think I have a different take on it, because I think the moment you think what will people think, it's not about what people are thinking, it's about what you are thinking. It's all in your head. Sometimes you make up situations which don't even exist in real. It's all imaginary and hypothetical. So I feel that it all starts from within and your own mentality. I agree to the fact that your thoughts are shaped by the people you are surrounded by, but after a certain age you mature, you become mature in a way that it's up to you that which thoughts do you let your mind enter, you know. You become very wise, I feel. After school itself, these days people are becoming wiser and wiser at lesser and lesser age, you know. So I don't think so it's got anything to do with the society, because so many people bring about a change, breaking down the barriers that the society has put up, you know. And they're only able to do it because they have freedom in their mind and they are free spirited, you know. They don't care about what people will say, and that also comes from your upbringing, you know. If your family has been supportive throughout your childhood years and post that, you have a sense of security in your mind. You know that your family is backing you and nothing wrong can go against you. So you do tend to take those risks and have a free thought process. But as opposed to this, if you're, you know, grown up in an environment where you have been restricted every time to make certain decisions or choices, I think in that case your mind tends to make you think in a way that okay, what if I do this, what will be the consequences. You are not able to freely execute what you want, and that's when you start thinking that, okay, if I do this, will the society think of me this way? Because initially the society for you was nothing but your family, and your family restricted you. So because of that, you have this thought process that whatever I do, outsider will also, behave the certain way. So I think the change first needs to come about in the family, the home environment when a child is young. And after that, if you get the support and everything, it's up to you. You cannot be like, why did this person tell me this? I mean, it's up to that person. Now that person has the freedom of speech. What's your problem? You don't let it enter your mind. Now you
Correct.
should be training your mind in a certain way. So I think it all starts from you. I think after a certain point in age, and I really admire the Western countries for that matter, because in the US, after 18 or so, the parents insist you to get out of your home or go out of the country and explore and live on your own, because that's when you understand what it is like to have a responsibility and have a life of your own. Otherwise, if you're every time under a shelter, always having the comfort of everything in your life, you will think that it's always the other person's fault. You won't ever become acceptive of the fact that I can also be wrong, and it's my mistake that I thought that this person what they said is wrong. So sometimes you have to put yourself in a place that, okay, I can also be wrong, I'm also a human, I'm not a superior personality that people should come and bow down to me always. uh, so I think it's a mixed set of experiences that you have in your lifetime, the exposure you get, that defines who you are as a person. But in case if you don't have these two things, then books, movies, conversations with the right people help a lot.
Correct. That is absolutely correct. Also, as you mentioned that in your first post you just got 3 likes. So
Yeah,
why to see that the rest of the world did not like it? Just think that okay, there are 3 people who are actually liking it. So that is
yeah,
a great mindset. I will remember it before if I am ever reluctant to like
yeah.
post anything on LinkedIn or social media platforms. So, talking about various social media platforms, so your Instagram is very different when it comes to your LinkedIn. So, why is it so? Is there any story behind it, and how are these two platforms different?
Yeah, I think by the nature of the platforms, both are foundationally different. So it can't be that the same content from LinkedIn can go on Instagram. Although I try to speak on the same content I've written on LinkedIn, but the way you present it on Instagram is very different. Now, people might argue that we agree on this thought, but why not also post the video content on LinkedIn since you already have a base there? So, my answer to that is I have built a certain image and a certain way for which people follow me for about 4 years now. So if I change my course, what people follow me is for my posts, not for looking at
Exactly.
me speaking. So if I do that, my audience will change, my target audience will change, and I'll have to grow from scratch again. Because every time you introduce something new, it's a journey from the start. It's not something which is continued. You might get 1% support from what you've already built, but to build something else which is fully new really takes good amount of efforts. And if you really think it's essential, then you go for it. But if you think that you have the comfort and you have the advantage of what you already built, then why change the course? And Instagram is nothing but videos, so I try my hand there as well. And when I started there, it was a journey from nothing. And yet I've not reached a good follower base, but that doesn't stop me because I've overcome the thought of traction long back while I was 18.
Yes.
And for me, what matters is that I'm giving my 100% or no. So if I think that I've given my 100% to a video and still if it hasn't performed well or a post, then it doesn't matter. But if I know within, if I'm true to myself and I know that, okay, I could have done this better, but because I was running short of time or because I had to just get done with it, I did it. I know that even if the traction comes, I know why it is. And I'm very, that way I know why what is happening. So I think if you are aware of something, it's good, but if you don't know the root cause of the problem only, then there's a problem. So I think I'm aware of both the platforms, what works where, what doesn't work where I need to put my energies, so that's the reason why I just write on LinkedIn. And sometimes I get brand collaborations for videos as well, and I tell them that video content won't work well on my platform because the audience is something else and what you're looking is for something else. So I do suggest them creators who post video content whom they can collaborate with. So that way, I'm very collaborative with everybody in the ecosystem, knowing what my benefits are and what their benefits are, and knowing that what I'm good at and what they are good at. So that way, it's a balanced approach I take.
Correct. Also, talking as we are talking about platforms, so if you have to give any three tips for creators on LinkedIn, how can they curate their LinkedIn profile in order to get, seen by more people? So, what would it be?
Yeah, I think firstly, people usually look at the goal rather than the process. They are like, we want to reach 100K followers in 1 year, but they don't look at how can they reach the target. So I think the first step to it is identifying what you're good at, and that in itself takes a lot of time. But it doesn't mean that you don't start only in the process. You start somewhere with at least what you're good at. Now we are not talking about kids who are 5 6 year old who want to write on LinkedIn, right? You're already about 18 years old when you start on writing on LinkedIn, or either 15 or 16. So at least by then you know what you're good at least in the school, which you can start writing about. So I think do that first, focus on your niche, understand that consistency is very important. So for that to happen, you will have to write on the topic you love. Otherwise, after a point in time, you'll get exhausted and your mind will tell you, why are you doing this? You don't love it. So I think it's important that you understand what you're doing and then do it, rather than just do it because everybody else is doing it. So stop being in the rat race and create a race for yourself. Be your own competition and take inspiration from others. So that's one. By focusing, you build your niche. That's one. Second is that once you've identified what you're good at, what will you write on, then it comes to how will you present it to the larger world. Every time when you give a presentation in your college or at work, you feel like you've read so much and you're prepared. But when it comes to speaking, you know how much you speak. Sometimes people zone out, they black out, or they feel that they haven't said well enough as opposed to what they had researched. So all of that comes into picture when you're not prepared to speak in a certain way. So be prepared in a way that you will write. It shouldn't be like you've read everything and you don't know now what to write. So read in a way that you have to write. So whenever I read a news article, I don't read everything. I only read the parts from where I will take the portions to write. So it gives me focused thinking, that way. It's a trick that I use. I don't know if it will work for everyone, because some people may want to read the full article and then think over it and then write. But I think this has worked for me, which is focused thinking and then writing. The third part is that whenever you do something, always have the support of your network. Tell your friends, your colleagues, everybody to support you and what you do on the platform to begin with, because the initial drivers in any business or any venture is your family, your extended family, and your friends. Even if you start a startup, you raise money from your family initially and the angel investors. So consider some of your friends to be angel investors paying attention to your LinkedIn post, to give that initial boost so that you also feel good, and you think that, okay, somebody is reading your content, it's worthwhile. And keep sharing it in the different groups and say that, okay, I've written this, any suggestions you have, always be open to feedback. What happens is that when you reach a certain level of traction, you think that you're great at doing what you're doing, and you just keep your ears shut to what people are saying or what they have to suggest. So till day to day also, people tell me that, okay, you've made this mistake in the post, or this was missing, this could have been better, and I'm like, thank you for telling me this is such a lovely perspective. I wouldn't have known had you not told it to me. So I'm very thankful to my community in that sense. So give back to the community that has supported you once you establish your brand. on social media. And lastly, I would say that always think of ways in which you can keep developing your writing. It shouldn't be the fact that you've become good at something and now your stagnation level has reached, because be mindful that people can learn from you and they can become your competition. And it's if you have to be ahead in the race, you have to always keep on learning. So the burden of unlearning is more than that of learning, as they say. So always constantly be in that hustler and learning more, no matter where you reach. Even at the start, when you have nothing, and even at the end when you have everything in your mind.
Right. These are some really great tips. And as you mentioned, like you should write about something that you're actually passionate about, is I think my favorite point.
Yeah.
Like if maybe you can write about something that you're not passionate about for 1 year or maybe 2 years, but beyond that, you just cannot. And
Yes.
yes, there are people to support you. Like in my YouTube videos as well, I might not get a lot of views, but there would always be one comment. That is my mom's comment in every video that I post.
Yeah.
So yes, keep that as a driving force and think that okay, there are few people who are watching it, and because for them you have to be consistent, right?
Yeah.
So great tips. Also talking about the niche. So some, like for example me only, so I don't really know where my interest lies. Someday I'm interested in business content, someday I'm interested in some other content. So how do you choose the niche, or is it even important to choose a niche to write about? Can I just write about anything what I love? Maybe it be 3 to 5 different topics.
Yeah. So this is a very good and important question. There is this saying that when you are young, you have the biggest trump card, because when you're young, you can make mistakes, you can explore. At 30s or 40s, if you tell me that I love this, I love that, I want to do that as well, people will think that where are you headed, and are you not focused? Nobody gives you respect. But when you're young and you say the same thing, people will be like, oh, this is such a curious person, and I think that this person will have great thoughts and ideas, let me talk to them. The perception changes fully. So it really depends on what stage of your life you are at, and then use that to your advantage. If you're young, taking your example, and I think most of your viewers are also of our similar age group, I think they should definitely explore everything that they love doing, and at least for 3 to 4 years, keep doing that unless they find their niche. And what happens is that in the process of doing many things that you love, you tend to automatically and naturally find something that you want to do for years and years, so that's the reason why till 10th you study every subject, and then you feel after 10th, okay, I think science is something that I really am interested in, and let me take science and not commerce. So I think as you grow up the ladder of age, I think you naturally realize what is it that you're inclined towards. But in the beginning, it's very important, like you mentioned, to explore everything. Otherwise, you wouldn't know, right? What was good, what wasn't, and you shouldn't have regrets that you didn't do this just because you were so focused on one thing. So I think people of our age definitely should try out everything. And I personally used to get comments in my college for doing this, that why is she everywhere, does she not have any other work, and you might get that. So don't let that demotivate you. Keep going, because people will say that ये क्या कर रही है, ये इतना कुछ काम धंधा नहीं है क्या, many nasty comments will come your way, and you wouldn't even think that it came from somebody who your friend was, so all these things happens in college, and you have to just let it go and think that people are of your age, they are not yet so mature, and comments can come and go, but you should be razor sharp on what you're doing and why you're doing. And I think if you understand yourself better, I think nobody else can defeat you.
Correct. That is a really great way. And the way you said that, har jagah hai and everything. So even I have heard it many times because I am really confused. Like I don't know what my niche is. So for
Yeah.
my YouTube channel, people say that, select a niche. Like I sometimes put out vlogs, sometimes I'll put out tech content, sometimes business content, because I think my interest is everywhere. How can I
Yeah.
control myself? So yes, I think that is correct. Like in initial years, you can just, try to find out your niche, and then later on, as Radhika mentioned, you can just focus on one particular thing that you actually love, and are passionate about. So the next thing is being unique. So there are so many content creators on LinkedIn as well as other platforms as well. So how do you manage to stay unique among everyone else, or how can new content creators, try to be unique?
Yeah, I think uniqueness only comes when you take your competition as your mentor. You know, the word competition itself means that you're achieving some goal together. That's what it means when you break down the word. You know, so never take your competition as somebody whom you wouldn't look up to, or someone who is there that you want to defeat, but rather take them as your mentor and take them as your supporter. If just imagine that, what if you get your competition to support you, how much would you grow and how fast would you grow? So always have a positive mindset whenever you're starting up, and to try to stay unique in the social media platform. It's a tricky game, and it takes a lot of time, but it only comes with starting at some point. You know, like for example, in my niche, people were writing on different topics, different news items, but I saw the gap that what the way they are presenting is very different from the way I could, because humans are anyways built very differently, and writing is nothing about your thought processes and your mind, and no mind can be similar, right? So it's as simple as that. In whatever niche you are, you have to identify that gap and you have to do your research. Ki, okay, this is where I am, this is where I have so many people doing the same thing. You study all of them and then you realize, okay, this is where the gap is, and I think this is how my skill set fills the gap. It shouldn't be like the gap here, but you don't know how to fill that gap, but still you go into it. Of course there will be a failure. So understanding what you're good at is also very good to know. So I did that. I understood that there was nobody writing in a very crisp and simple, easy to understand way. Even newspapers, for that matter, used to give big, big paragraphs of a news item with so many jargons. You know, journalists love to complicate, you know, things. So I thought that why not step into it? Although this is something that I've thought later on when people asked me. When I started writing, it was very natural. But I get it right now. When I started out, there was no one who was writing at my age, at least. But right now there's a lot of competition, and because there's competition, you'll have to be very mindful and aware of what you do and how you do, you know, on social media. So I think the only way to be unique is study your competitors very closely, get in touch with them, tell them that I'm just starting up, I really look up to you, give them high regards, you know, tell them that how their platform has motivated you to maybe start somewhere. You know, it's all about human relations at the end of the day. That money, success, fame, power, influence, nothing matters but human connect. If you can connect with a person, tell them what they've done and how you can draw inspiration from them, every person in the world will come out to help you, you know. Just be pure at heart and innocent, no arrogance, you know, full of humility and gratitude. These are some values that really help you, you know. And people might be expecting a one shot answer to this, that what makes you unique, because everybody likes to be successful instantly, and
Right.
instant gratification is something we all love. But these are some of the back end work that you need to develop, right? Like for example, whenever you're developing a computer, you first develop the hardware of it, right? And once it's done, then the outer beauty of the computer comes in. So that's what you need to do. First you need to build up on your softer skills, try to get in touch with people, understand what they did, how they did, and then get on to what you can do differently. That's the whole process. It's like you have to fully immerse in it in order to be unique. You can't do it as a part-time job or a side hustle. It can only become a side hustle when you have already become good at it. But if you really have to be unique at something, then trust me, you have to leave your job, or you have to leave whatever you're doing to be on social media. That's what people have told me when I was building on my Instagram. And I also had the same question. But I knew what to prefer, what not. For me, my work and my LinkedIn is more important. So my focus is there. I'm not doing Instagram full time. And I know because I'm not doing full time, results won't come that easily. But I know that if I would have put in 7 to 8 hours on content research, connecting with people, collaborating for reels, looking for what thumbnails have worked for people, what haven't, I would have definitely reached 100K by now. So that way I'm very self-aware, and I think people should also be very self-aware, and that's how uniqueness can come in. That's what makes you unique, right? Being self-aware. What else makes you unique?
Correct. I think these are some really great points. I think like one LinkedIn post or one maybe 30-second reel, people see it as a 30-second reel, but actually, like, 2 to 3 hours of editing and then content curation goes into this. And even as you mentioned, that your LinkedIn post, so people will read it and maybe just scroll it, but you have spent like 3 to 4 hours just curating the important points, and that is something that makes you unique. So, people who are watching this, just find out where your passion lies, and maybe just don't follow this rat race, as you mentioned, that don't do content creation maybe because I do it or Radhika does it. Just do it if you actually love it, and you will automatically be unique in your own way. Questions, any other tips that you would have for the students or people who are just starting their journey with content creation, or who are just thinking to opening some YouTube channel or a blog post, or trying to write on LinkedIn? Any tips for them?
Yeah, I would just say three things: that have an open mind, have an open heart as well, so that you accept people as they are, you accept their flaws, you're not hell bent on being perfect. And when you are not a perfectionist, you that's where you can start somewhere. Otherwise, it's just a stop to your growth. So have that open mind and heart, and have that curiosity levels very high, at least when you're a student, because that's where you attract people, you attract good opportunities in your life. Otherwise, if you're just a silent soul or a sitting duck in the room, nobody would want to talk to you, right? And in college, your peer network really matters. The more friends you have, the more social you become, the more open you are to what's happening in the world, what are your friends doing, how are they doing it. But if you're just isolated to yourself, you might become good at something, but you will lack team ability skills, and you will lack those skills of taking people along with you, communication, all of these things which make you successful in the longer run. So always look for a longer term goal rather than a short term achievement. And of course, have gratitude for smaller wins as well, because that's what takes you to the bigger path. But yeah, just these three things. Have humor. Humor is very
Yeah.
important to keep you alive. Have humor. It gels well with a lot of people. It attracts people to you like a magnet. So have humor, have humility, and gratitude for everything that's happening. Have gratitude for bad things also, because that lead you to somewhere. Had one door not shut for you, you wouldn't have explored something else that was waiting for you in life. So always
Correct.
be open. That's the word.
Yes, those are some really great tips. Also, before ending this session, there's one question, very one fun question, that if you want to tell something about yourself that a lot of people do not know about you, anything, it can be like ranging from your hobby or something that you're good at and not a lot of people do. So, if you want to
Yeah,
share.
people don't know that I'm a dancer. I mean, they cannot even comprehend the fact that I dance. Like the same reaction you gave me right now is what I get from people. Silent, quiet girl with specs on, working on her desk, and talking only about business stories. So that is something that people don't know of. And what more is shocking, that I have a YouTube video also, not on my channel, but it's by the name of Ricky and Sarang. These were the choreographers, and the song name was Move to Miami. So there's actually a YouTube video which they've put up there where my dance performance is shown. So that is a video of 2018.
I'll put the link to that video as well in the description box. I'll try to find it. If I am not able to find it, I'll just message you.
Yeah, people just get shocked looking at it. They can't believe. They have to watch it twice or thrice to believe it's me. It's that bad.
You still do it? You still like continue dancing?
No, I rarely go to dance classes because I feel that it takes up a lot of your time. So I prefer taking private training, but again, it requires a lot of capital. And
Yeah.
right now, my age is to earn capital rather than spend capital on these things. So I'll do it once I build something for myself.
It was really fun talking to you, Radhika. Like, I got to learn so much, and some of your tips. Like, I still remember that point that three people have liked it, and I'm going to remember it for a long time. So, thank you so much for coming to my channel and answering my questions. It was really fun interacting with you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for asking such great questions. Had it not been for your questions, these answers wouldn't have come out. So thanks to you for bringing out the best of me.
Yes, and also your hidden talent now everybody knows. So
Yeah.
yes, okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.